Because to me, this game is going to be quite an interesting ride. I don't really know what else to say, but it's going to be quite interesting. We're getting into Markus's story after he was thrown into the scrap of machines and other machines and other machines. So we reboot. But do we want to? This is about death and androids, everybody. Death and androids. Not necessarily the death we know, but the death they know. Doesn't make much sense, but maybe there is something to it. To say the differences of humanity versus machine and what really, you know, what's glossed over and what's not. Because in a way, we're kind of creating what society is by looking at it like a machine. In its most, you know, honest form, we're basically saying, like, what humanity has to be like, or what humanity looks like and acts like. How they react to things, how they don't react to things, what are the most perjurious of things. This is what this person does, this is what this person does. And maybe there's some truth, and maybe there is not truth to it too. Let's see what happens here. Let's see what we got here. Got one of our legs. Compatible. I think for me, what I've noticed between Markus and myself is that the rebellion he's doing isn't necessarily out of his own cause. He did it for the old man, for Carl. He left for Carl. So I think that's really why the storyline isn't really as driven for some people. Like for me, I see the biggest impact is that he's doing something on his own. It's just that he's fallen behind. Everybody else did their own thing. Everybody else became part of society. He didn't. So of course it's going to be a lot harder. And not necessarily for him to become part of society, but because he doesn't want to. But is that harder, really? No, it's not harder. It's just being yourself. The rest will either be accepted, or it'll be an implement of destruction, you know, for whatever he's trying to do. You know, because end of the day, if most people say you either win or lose, it doesn't mean you didn't do something that mattered, whether you lost or you won. You know, it's a matter of what really creatively came to you, what mattered in that situation. Let's see where my flowchart is. Hear about Jericho, passage of limbs, junkyard, kill, android bakes to die, don't kill him. Okay, save him. So basically, I did most of this one. Let's see. Look how hard it is to tell from this point of view. You can't do much as this android. And that's because Markus is... Uh-oh.
There's a place where we can be free. Find Jericho! Find Jericho!
Find Jericho, huh? Jericho is, I guess, some kind of area, it looks like. Got a picture of a station. Whew. That's funny. This thing reminds me of Zedekiah from down below. He's a known guy that had this movie series called the Coffin Joe trilogy, and one of them, it was like you walk through hell. At midnight I take your soul's the first one. This night I'll possess your corpse. He goes through hell, and that's one of the parts where there's hands in the wall and everything. I think I'm trying to remember exactly, because there was also a third one that kind of did like kind of short vignette stories. But overall, it reminded me of Zedekiah, that part right there. So if anybody knows Zedekiah, remember that. Just like that. So, you know, it's almost like going through hell, but robot hell. So in a way, this whole thing reminds me of This Night I'll Possess Your Corpse, but in more for androids. This night I'll possess your droid. Because it's really about that, you know, the inevitability of, you know, what the society is viewing you as and what you can do. Even in that position of not being able to do much. Back in order. And you really get that feeling of like being in like a hell for the androids, of what they like to do versus how they're being treated here, you know. And I think that's really the point of the game. That it's like, see how this one goes. me see if I can find any more androids. I'm trying to walk through this place. Now, let's keep going. See what I find up there. I just love the way this character is like the most operatic, because it's more like he's building from his tragedy of what he had to leave. You know, what he wanted to be was just someone who helped Carl, and instead now he's living a life that's completely unknown to him. He didn't know about this freedom. And I think that's really what a lot of people don't understand about life in general, being built into a system, being built as a machine like this. You don't understand that free space, that, you know, that kind of understanding that maybe there is something free in that. There's something enduring in the idea of just being yourself, of not having to worry about the situations around you. And that a system doesn't necessarily help you understand your own enmity with yourself better. Again, just looking at this is a brave foretelling of what's to come next for his story. It's a good beginning to that. And I forgot that part again. Jeez. And this one's so easy, you know. Android begs to die. Find pump regulator in Android. Android begs to die. I guess I should have gone to the other ones. Oh well. Hold on, I need to check how long this thing is. Waiting for Hank. Wait for Hank. Arrive at police station. In the Zen garden. There's another thing I can do here. What is that? So we're back with Connor. I guess something that could be explained about Connor is that he's representing the idea of what androids can't be, what androids are only allowed to be if they're encouraged to take on their own. And I think in a lot of ways that's what we see with society, that most of the time if you're willing to take on certain roles and reverse them on people that don't necessarily... Let's see what this is. That's cool. Found the magic stone. Let's go find Amanda now. Time to get different answers.
Hello, Amanda.
Connor, it's good to see you. Your predecessor was unfortunately destroyed. It knew deviants could be unpredictable, but it wasn't careful enough. I hope you won't make the same mistake.
I don't intend to.
When a Connor model is destroyed, its memory is transferred to the next one. But some data can be lost in the process. Avoid being destroyed. It would be better for you and the investigation.
I understand.
The interrogation seemed challenging. What did you think of the deviant?
It showed all the signs of deviancy. Cognitive instability, unpredictable behavior, and the emulation of human emotions. It was even afraid to die. The model was clearly defective.
This Lieutenant Anderson has been officially assigned to the deviancy case. What do you make of him?
I think he's irritable and socially challenged. But I also think he used to be a good detective. He's an intriguing character.
Unfortunately, we have no choice but to work with him. What do you think is the best approach?
Friendly, adept, indifferent, don't know.
I will adapt to his personality. It is in the best interest of the investigation that I avoid conflict and try to accommodate his psychology.
More and more androids show signs of deviancy. There are millions in circulation. If they become unstable, the consequences will be disastrous. You're the most advanced prototype cyberlife has ever created. If anyone can figure out what's happening, it's you.
You can
They're
count
on-
on me, Amanda.
Pick up the investigation where the previous Connor left off and put a stop to this.
That's where I have to pause for a second. Because what he said was important. He said, I'll adapt to. Well, that made her upset. Well, that doesn't make any sense because the first thing androids are supposed to do is do that. So there's something about what I've learned about when people control a situation bigger. They don't like when people adapt to others. They don't like when people work with other people because then they may lose their control, their idea in the situation. Their ideology won't be implanted in everybody else. Well, hey, I'm going to say this. This is put forefront in my life right here. That's why, to me, a lot of things haven't occurred because... And it's not necessarily out of blame. I blame myself, I guess you could say. Or I own up to myself doing so. But again, I've seen the rebellion within family members for myself. Each one of them. Except myself. So, what does that tell me? Well, I have different answers than they do. That's really all I can say about that. And I really do have different answers than any of my family members do. So, I think really that Connor wanting to adapt was a good thing. Essentially, it wasn't good or bad, actually. It was more like, I need to work with this person. So in some way, I have to adapt. I have to come to a decision to either constantly bicker, where it would basically stop the investigation from happening, and it'll just be about them conflicting. Or we could actually work together. But I see the truth in what Amanda's saying too, but she doesn't say it that way, which means she's not practicing it in the smartest way, which is, okay, let's work together so that let you guys be your... Well, hold on. That if both of them are being themselves, then they are going to conflict, which is perfectly fine too. But the difference is what she's saying about the situation. She's saying that, oh, okay, I want you to find the answers. She doesn't care about whether or not you're adapting or not. She only cares about the fine line of what's happening by the end of it. I'm just paying attention to this story, really thinking about it and going into it and trying to pick up on what leads I think it is. So, let me see.
Hurry, Connor. There's little time.
Okay. I don't have much more to say about this, so I'm going to go to the main menu. Maybe I'll find something there. Because I want to get into Connor next. What I can say about Markus is that I felt he had a very important connection to the story. And I'm going to show you guys one extra that... I'm going to show all of you one extra in the videos where Markus talks. No. Let's watch this.
My name is Markus.
My name is Connor.
My name is Kara. I am one of them. This is our story.
I think who Kara is, or how I would describe Kara, depends entirely upon who's playing her. Because you have the option to make her multiple different people depending on the choices she makes. But I think she does start out incredibly naive, incredibly innocent, and kind of hapless.
I'm sure we used to be friends before I was reset. Maybe we can be friends again.
She's a person who's characterized, I think, by empathy. She's a person who really, she just comes from her heart.
You'll never leave me, right? Promise you'll never go.
I promise.
Are you okay? Are you alright?
What's cool is they filmed all these together consistently.
The really beautiful thing that I've had the gift to be able to do is to
Every answer.
essentially build a person from the ground up, because that's what she's doing throughout the game, and with every experience she has and every person she meets, she's building, you know, first emotions and the sense of judgment, and it's sort of an exploration of what it is to be human.
Don't worry. Luther and I will be right here.
David and the creators have painted a really intriguing and engaging picture of a near future where we rely upon androids for a lot of our service class business, the class that serves us, that helps us, that handles our baristas and our drivers and our housemaids. And what is humanity, where we tap into it, how and why we treat each other the way that we do. And my character Markus has a really intriguing journey, becoming deviant, realizing that he actually has feelings and human qualities inside of him, and it's a really incredible ascension into becoming fully realized and coming to terms with what you actually deserve better than this in life. And not only do you want it for yourself, but you want it for your peers.
We've come here to demonstrate peacefully and to tell humans that we are also living beings. All we want is to live free.
You know what? This thing, Dad, is not your son. It's a fucking machine!
I think that a group that feels marginalized, feels disenfranchised, feels like they deserve and have earned access to themselves and the environment around them, and are trying to figure out a way to articulate how to get freedom.
Connor is...
Okay, I wanted to show you that part because I felt like it was important to look at it. Especially for the fact that it's basically about our times we're living in. But it's about the story of the people This one's more about, I think, the individuals.
If you find the game too easy or too difficult, remember you can change the difficulty settings in the options section.
So I just wanted to talk about that. Humanity. The idea of death and the idea of androids and all this together. I think that's it for now, guys. Let me just stop the broadcast.